Hi, everybody. Empezamos ya, ¿no? Okay, very good. So, Madrid Ecosystem. Interesting topic. First of all, I'd like you to introduce yourselves. I think, well, I can introduce you, but I think every one of you is able to say a little bit thing interesting about yourselves.
Okay. Shall I start? Yep.
Yeah. There is a lot of noise. Okay.
Okay.
So.
I'm Sarah from Makespace Madrid. Makespace Madrid is a space. Oops. Shall I speak now? Okay. So Makespace Madrid is a workshop, a community workshop, where we have 3D printers, laser cutters, CNC. So it's a place to build your prototypes of products. And we are a community of 70 people. So people coming from engineering background or artistic background, and they share this space to build their own projects. And that's it. I'm one of the founders.
Hi, my name is Eduardo, and I'm founder and CEO of ShadowCloud. And ShadowCloud is a company with offices in Chicago, San Francisco, and Madrid. And we do data import. And we've got our engineering team here in Madrid.
So, hi, I'm Daniel. I'm the founder and CEO of Datari. Datari is a productivity tool for consultants, so they can search and search and work with data easily. We are in an earlier stage than ShadowCloud.
Is it working? No? No? Okay. No.
They are telling me that you have to start speaking until the microphone starts working.
Okay.
So
So I'm
don't
going
pass
to
the
shake
microphone.
things.
I'm sorry. Okay.
So don't be that. Okay, so I'm Sofia, and the head of campus insights, which is. They tell me to keep talking. Okay. So I am Sofia. Yeah, there you go. Okay, now I'm Sofia from Head of Campus Madrid, a Google space for entrepreneurs that just opened its doors 3 months ago, and well, you might hear about it. So it's a space where entrepreneurs can learn, we organize education programs, they can connect with the community, so it's all about creating a neutral space where all the communities can gather together, and of course it's a space where entrepreneurs can work, like Daniel actually on their projects, and we hope them to become great global projects.
Hello everyone, my name is Summerhill. I am with the Entre Foundation. We manage a VC fund here based in Madrid. And so far we've backed 16 companies. We invest early stage, more or less, between 500K and 2 million. And looking forward to meet more awesome entrepreneurs here.
Hi, my name is Iñaki. I started some years ago an internet company which is called coches.com, and actually I run a venture capital fund called K-Fund.
Great. So, hello, hola. No, okay, very good. So the idea of this panel is to get a view of the Madrid ecosystem and the evolution in the last few years that I think it were very interesting. So we have founders like Arola and Dani and Edu that has very different point of view, and then we have community enablers like Sarah and Sofia, and then have investors. So we have Iñaki. It's a combo because it's accelerator and investor and founder all in one, and Samuel. We thought that it will give an interesting view, especially because we have the 3 generations of founders, because Iñaki was starting to, his startup started like 15 years ago, coches.com, more or less. How long?
So the first is that Carmen is saying I'm the oldest one around.
No, the one that's been doing this since before anyone else.
We started it on 2003, 12 years ago.
2003, wow. So we have a generation,
Wow.
we have a generation of founders that's been doing this before the web.com bubble, and it's very, very interesting the value they bring to the ecosystem. So what I wanted to ask you first is, in your point of view, what is the main things that are the better things of Madrid ecosystem, and then the things that we can get better. And who wants to start?
I'll start. So, I think Madrid Ecosystem was just lacking some space like Google Campus to join the community, because we have several communities like Sarah's and so many others, tech communities, business communities, and we were lacking this point to join them all together. But Madrid's ecosystem, I think, is pretty cool. I've been volunteering in the startup school of Tetuan Valley, interviewing so many startups during the last year, and little by little, you can see how the level is increasing, right? What is missing? I think we Spaniards, not only in Madrid, but we Spaniards lack of ambition sometimes. I remember when I was in school, like 15 years old or something like that, they were asking us what did we want it to be? Where do we want it to work? And 1/3 of the class was saying, I want to be public servant. The reason was because that way they couldn't be fired. 15-year-old kids. So I think that's a point that we need to change, and it's pretty cool to see how many startups are here, for instance. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can, no, but I totally agree with that, Daniel. 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 So, but I think another thing that we're missing, I totally agree with, it's ambition, but it's also time. Also, we keep comparing ourselves to Silicon Valley or Tel Aviv. They're 20 years ahead, or 30 or 50, or I don't really know how many years, but a pretty bunch of years ahead of us. So we cannot ask ourselves to be compared in the same level to other ecosystems that have had so much more maturity. What we have to be sure is that we're putting the ingredients in place that are needed to actually foster the ecosystems and get things tied up and grow, because what we still need is real success stories to have the whole system go organic and have all these successful entrepreneurs come back, as like Iñaki has done, and is now raising a fund, and he's now, I mean, he's been invested after being in, so we need more Iñakis, we need more success stories, more references to actually come back and make the whole system be working just naturally, organically, because successful entrepreneurs giving back to the community.
Yeah, I would agree that sometimes we might be not very ambitious, but we are definitely, we are very critical with ourselves. I think I have been lucky enough to study abroad, to work abroad, and what I have seen there is very similar to what I've seen here in big corporations, in our startups. So first thing we have to do is believe in ourselves, and I think this is changing. As Sofia said, when we start seeing more success stories, this is going to be encouraging for all of us, for investors, for entrepreneurs, for everybody. And I think 5 years ago, there were very few investors, and right now, I think entrepreneurs can almost choose among us, which I think is very healthy for the ecosystem. So I think we are going quick. We have doubled the investment in startups in the last 2 years, so we are making a good progress, but of course, success doesn't happen overnight. So we have to keep pushing, keep working, but I think we can be moderately happy with what we are achieving here.
As I'm the ancient one on the table, I can remember what was 2003 when you started an internet company, and there were almost no funds around. Of course, you could not choose what you wanted, because there were 2 or 3 seed funds that the rules were made by themselves. There were no talent almost at all. There were really good people, but not as many as we have right now. And I really agree with you guys, and I also may add that you cannot push ecosystems. Ecosystems get made by themselves, and probably if we look forward and in 5 years we look backwards, we may see that Spain, not only Madrid, has been growing at a nice pace.
I totally agree with Sofia in the fact of the time issue. it's super important that we give us time enough to be at the same level that other countries and other spaces where they've been working for years, for 50 years. So.
I think quickly, from my perspective, good things, talent, quality of life again. And then bad things, perhaps, I agree with all of you, there's not a lot of references, like people that have done it that can inspire other people, and that's really important. And then that also means that there is not as much ambition, so a lot of the ideas that you see in Spain don't have the same potential as some of the ideas that people work with in Silicon Valley or New York.
Okay, one of the main issues that people talk about in Spain is the entrepreneur bubble. My impression is that between 2011 and 2013, we got a lot of wannabe entrepreneurs, a lot of programs that call themselves accelerators, a lot of events, a lot of wannabe mentors, a lot of everything. But the problem is that we didn't have enough real founders and real expertise in the ecosystem. There were very few people with experience that could help these wannabe startups or mentor in this panel or in these accelerators. But my impression, and I want to know if you agree with that, is in the last couple of years, it's getting better. We are getting, thanks to, for example, a startup that has one leg in Spain and one leg in the States, or some talent that it's coming back, and the ecosystem is getting better. What's your impression on this? Do you think we are in the right direction, and how long do you think it will take to get there?
I don't know how long, but I mean, the bubble is just kind of the question that only journalists bring up, like the ones that helped just suddenly talk about entrepreneurs, and then just like now is there a bubble? Is there a bubble? So if there is, like, I think, and it might be like, well, is like, welcome it, because I think only good things will come out of it, in the sense like it's changing a whole attitude in a generation, not just in young people, but like even like parents now saying, okay, entrepreneur is an option. And this is something that takes time, and maybe it needs a bubble, it needs a trend to actually be like massive. And I totally agree that this bubble won't bring up as many successful entrepreneurs and serial entrepreneurs as we might need, but it's coming. It's just out of mass and density that you actually get good stuff. So I think we're getting into not that much of copycat startups. We're getting into having real disruption, real innovation going up. And I think we're definitely the right direction. I don't know.
So from a point of view, if there was a bubble, it was a small one, of course. Here we had two things at the same time. On the one side, we had the explosion of tech entrepreneurship globally, and on the other side, we had here a massive crisis in Spain. That pushed many people to create their own companies as a way to move forward, because they couldn't find a job in a company. And I think that's not optimum, but it's not bad. In my opinion, companies should be started only by the people who cannot live without funding a company, because it's really hard. It's really hard. But they will find out during the way very soon. So that's not an issue for me.
I think we are a country of opposites. We are from Real Madrid or Barcelona. We are from Partido Popular or Partido Socialista. And we cannot see the gray that sometimes we have on the middle. And Spain was a country that, oh wow, nobody's starting a company, and now we have a bubble. So we always live on those edges. So what I think is that some people are really interested in saying that we are in a bubble. I don't really mind as an investor if we are or if we're not, because I want to invest in the best people. And as seed investor, I don't really mind if someone is going to lead my deal by valuation, because if they do, and if they want me to, if the most important thing of their deal with me is valuation, I won't invest on them. So it's okay. You know, if they think we have a bubble, that's it.
Okay, what do you guys think about it?
I mean, I think it's like when you're looking for movies from the 50s or the 60s, there's quite a few good movies. You're watching movies from this year, there's a lot of bad movies, right? So right now, there's a lot of people starting companies, and you see a lot of bad companies. But I think it's good that many people want to start companies, because there's also going to be some good companies. And if double the people are starting companies today than 10 years ago, that's good. It's probably going to be double the good companies. But also a shit ton of bad companies. So I think it's good.
Very good. How many of you have read the article that Rodrigo Martinez posts? Okay, very good. What do you think about it, especially the part about accelerators?
Okay.
About equity that accelerators take and that kind of
So
stuff.
to introduce the audience, Rodrigo was saying mostly that when he comes, he is an Spanish investor who is based in Berlin, and when he comes to Spain, he finds the problem that a Spanish startup at a really early stage have already lost 50% of the company, because 10% goes to accelerators, another 10 goes to advisors, and so on. They have already raised like some couple of thousands. And I think that's also with this tech bubble or not bubble or whatever, that we have right now 90 accelerators in Spain, which is more than in England.
250 I check in
Really?
Startup Explorer.
Okay.
According to Startup Explorer, there
you
is
have it there.
250 in Spain.
So I think to run an accelerator is a really complicated business model. So at some point in some years, we will see that only the best one will survive. So it's a matter of time that all these bad accelerators will go away, and the ecosystem will get more mature, and we won't see like these startups getting so dilute in early rounds. That's my
And I
opinion.
think one other thing is like when you're talking to less mature ecosystem, we don't only need to bring education to our entrepreneurs. We also need to bring experience and education, I think, to the investors, the corporates, the institutions. It's a game of all of us. We need to keep raising the bar to get our entrepreneurs to be better, our accelerators to be better, and investors to be better, or corporates to be better when it comes to actually dealing with startups and so on. It's not just for the entrepreneurs to get better, because if the rest of the ecosystem doesn't get better, we'll just get somewhere else and get funding from foreign VCs or get support from foreign corporations. So I think it's a challenge for really all the players of the ecosystem to keep raising the bar.
You have to copy from the best.
So if this is true, what you said about the accelerators, of course, that's bad. In my point of view, as an investor, if I see a cap table like that, it's a red flag, a big red flag for me. So my tip for entrepreneurs is you begin this game with nothing but the equity of your company. You have to fight for every point of it. So don't give away your equity to the first one who knocks your door. It's your most precious thing. So this game is about transforming this equity, which values nothing at the beginning, to convert it into cash at the end. So don't give it away. So fight for every point of it.
Again, I think I don't really mind about that, because as investors, even though if these things should not happen, but they happen, we are going to invest on the best companies that usually do not come from accelerators, incubators, and so on, because they make it by themselves. And if they do, and if they come to us, because sometimes they do, and we have nice examples, Seed Rocket and Tetuan Valley, they will come from the best ones. So it's okay. This is like, we got lots of schools, we got lots of business schools, we got lots of everything. And the fact is that when time passes, only the best ones are around. So no problem with that.
Okay, going to revenue. Revenue is very important for, well, revenue is very, very important for startups. Talking to, especially to startups, B2B, I have a couple of people here that has told me some interesting stories about the difference between the States and Spain in order to close deals and to get deals with corporates. Danny and Edu, you want to talk us a little bit about it?
About what exactly? Like
Sorry.
the importance of revenue?
Challenge.
Yeah. So the thing is, in Spain, typically, a lot of startups says that it's more difficult to close deals in business to business, and the time you get to close a deal with a company, it's larger. It takes more time, and it's also more difficult for companies to give you a chance, especially if you are still a startup and don't have other clients.
Okay. So our company almost exclusively sells in the US market in terms of the type of clients we work with. So I can't talk too much about doing B2B sales in Spain because we don't have clients in Spain or in Europe, actually. In terms of selling in the US, comparing to some people I've talked to whose companies sell in Spain, it's definitely better. Sales cycles are faster, basically. That's, in our experience, it obviously depends on the size of the deal. If you are selling multi-million-dollar solutions, it's still going to take a year to 2 years in the US. Maybe less if it's something that they really want. If it's smaller deals, it's also going to be faster. That's what I hear. Also in Spain, many people sell to the government, which is always very slow, both in Spain and in the US. So, and then generally the importance of revenue, I think revenue is not only important for a B2B company. A B2C company needs to make money. And they may need to make money today or maybe 2 years from now because they raise money from investors, but without revenue, they die. I think there's some startups that they believe that they can, there's like a fairy world where they can live without making money. A company, its only objective is to make money for its investors. That's it. If you don't want to do that, then you should start a non-profit, which has other objectives. Thank you.
I can only speak from the Spanish part, so we can complement ourselves there. So just to let you know, we are not making any euro at the moment. So we are dealing both with consulting firms and with really big startups. And we see that the problem is with consulting firms, they are like dinosaurs. They just have really, really slow. And with the startups, even though they are big, 100 people already, and everything goes.
The fact is that we always focus on that we need to sell, but sometimes our product cannot be sold. We got the example of our portfolio, of one of our portfolio companies, which is called Car2DB, and when we came to these people the first time, I told them, hey, what do you do? Oh, we do maps. Oh well, and do you have clients? Yes, we do. We have one. It's BBVA in Spain. I was like, oh well, at least it's a big bank. But then Sergio said, well, abroad we have many more, and we have the United Nations, we have I don't know, the New York Times, we have the Washington Post, and this was because they had a super product and they didn't even know how to sell it. So there's a lot of times that maybe there's not we do not only have the problem of how to sell, but especially that we need a product that should be sold by itself, and I really don't agree by selling things by itself, because you need to sell them, but well, product.
Okay, one of the best things of Madrid Ecosystem, and a lot of people don't know that, but we have an amazing developers community and makers community. And for example, the project of Sara and Cesar and other founders of Makerspace, they create a place only funded by the founders members, by the community. They created a space where makers could do their stuff. And but also we have like 50 meetups, groups of Python, Ruby, JavaScript, machine learning. It's incredible. So Sara, what is your point of view, your opinion on Madrid Ecosystem. What do you think?
Well, from my point of view, is that as we are always saying, some of the most interesting groups are run by people that do this on their free time. So they decide to spend this time for the community instead of spend time with their families, for example. So the most important thing for these communities to be sustainable in time, like that they will exist in 3 years time from now, is that we have to be able to build the next generation of people that is gonna run these communities, these grassroots organized communities. Because normally there's a company that is funding them or no one is helping us, but we are also very free and independent, so that's what we want to be. But the right thing to do now for leaders like me and Cesar and people from the Rabbi community or whatever is to find the people in their communities that they will take the responsibility in 2 years to follow the path and to continue to bring value to the community and run events or workshops or whatever the community needs. So that's the key thing.
I think if I can add, I mean, I was also surprised when we launched Campus Madrid, and actually both with Almo and with Carmen, you helped us to gather and do actually a meetup of meetup organizers to get to know all the tech communities, and actually having, and it's not to just drop the peach about campus, but it's actually having this neutral space in which we're bringing this amazing tech talent that we have, and we have a lot of different communities specialized in different technologies, but they're not in touch with the entrepreneurs, they're not in touch with the investors, they're not in touch with the accelerators. So actually having this place in which we invite them to organize their meetups at the same place where they're going to be actually in touch with entrepreneurs, investors, students, universities, and so on. I think this is the challenge that we have, keep up supporting these communities, but at the same time challenge them to be in touch with the rest of the communities, because there's what I think we need more tech founders, and we need more of this interaction between some of the leading business schools that we have here in Spain, together with some of the leading tech communities, to actually gather and have creation of much more with higher talent founded startups.
I think every week there's someone from these schools that come to make space, because we have an open day on Tuesdays, and so every week we have the opportunity to talk to the people that is studying or they are running a project and they want to do part of the project at our space, or so we are in touch a little bit with them. But I agree that that campus is a huge opportunity to put all this talent together and bring people together so they can start their projects with different profiles and a multidisciplinary background in their teams. So.
Yeah, that's actually it was my next question, because one of the things we see in the ecosystem is that you have these guys that come from the business schools, and we have this strong tech community, and they don't mix very well. I think campus is helping, and it's getting there, but it's an issue, because we get founders that said there is no technical talent, and we have a lot of technical talent that don't know how to sell and how to think global and how to sell their products. So what do you think about this? Do you think we are going to fix it? Do you think you have this perception?
I think that again we have kind of a similar problem. When you are on the entrepreneur side, you think that there's no money around. When you are on the VC side, you think there's no many companies that you would invest on. When you are a developer, you think that there's no non-technical people around that can help you. And we have a lot of nice technical guys around, but I think that to raise a company, they need more things than that. And they need to co-found them probably not only with tech people. And I think if they're the best, again, as Samuel said, they will make it. And again, we could play some examples as CarteDB, two tech people that made the team after that, and then they could sell. And I think in Spain and in Madrid we can make it.
Well, you organize also, you host some events in some hackathons in your space. Do you think?
Really cool space.
Huh?
Thank you. You too.
Do you think there is valuable technical talent in Madrid?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Madrid has really good talent, and Spain in general. And one advantage, if you're starting a company or you're a business person, is that there's not as much competition as in the US, where it's extremely hard and extremely expensive to find good people, good technical people. So I think, business students or MBAs that say that are actually wrong, I would say. The thing is that any person that focuses on the business side of things, if they're starting a tech company, they better learn quickly the technical part of things, because it's a tech company, so it's kind of obvious. If you're a tech person, like an engineer, you better learn how to sell, and you better learn how to manage money, because that's what a company is about as well. So, so from my perspective, I agree with Iñaki that you just gotta get better at both things.
The organization told me that we have to start to cut, but we have 1 minute. There is something that you think it's missing? There is something that you would like to add? Any of you? No? Okay, very good.
Yeah, I think it would be also great to, in such a conference like this, to end up with a good vibe, in the sense like we're always thinking that something's missing. There will always be something missing, but I think we are with a good base, with great talent, great entrepreneurs that are heading in the right direction, investors that are just doing their job and they're finding more and more talent. And I think it's just going to get better, but we kind of need to keep working on it. And one of the most things is believe in it. I never remember the percentage, but you always said like Spaniards are the one that have the biggest difference between the perception that the world has of us and the perception that we actually have of ourselves. I don't really remember the numbers, but so this is the biggest challenge that we have. We really need to believe ourselves, take out barriers. We are the ones putting barriers to ourselves, so just like destroy them and dream big. We're gonna get as far as we dream to get, if ever. So we dream and we fight and we work. This is hard, but the farthest we're gonna get, I think.
I think maybe we have time for 1 or 2 questions over here. Yeah? There is anybody that wants to ask a question? No?
Hi, Carmen.
Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Nastya. I'm just wondering what Madrid Ecosystem could suggest for international teams, whether it's friendly for international expertise and teams, and which initiatives could welcome.
I think it's pretty. I don't know if this is on. I think it's pretty friendly. I'm from Spain, but in a way, I had the experience of a person coming from abroad, because I started the company in the US and then I moved to Spain a year and a half ago, and we had our office for free for like 6 months, and we had a bunch of help and benefits as an American company, even though the founder is from Spain. So I think it's pretty friendly, and more companies, they work in English from the get-go. So the weather is awesome compared to Chicago, where I used to live. So I think it's great.
Yeah, in fact, we have several startups who are founded by international entrepreneurs and are based both in Madrid, Barcelona, and so on, like Packlink or Review Pro and so on. So there are several cases already, like making money and making a living here.
Yeah. Even our space, we have people from Iraq, France, Germany, Australia. So, and we are only 70 people. So it's like we have a community, a very international community. And when you go to the space, sometimes you speak, like you listen, someone is speaking English or Swedish, or because people went Erasmus there and then they speak their language. And so it's a very international ecosystem. Yeah.
Okay, time's up? Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.